All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I've seen the topic of traditional marriage discussed quite a bit lately, and it's interesting to me. One thing that I've seen floated in several places that are very popular YouTube channels is the idea of getting married but not involving the state. So just going to church and just having a church ceremony and doing it that way. And that seems to be a solution that's gaining a little ground. And I was of the opinion a couple years ago that that would be excellent. I had no objections to that. I said, no, that's just as solid of a way to make sure that this woman is going to feel a sense of duty to honor her commitment, because she's going to swear this oath in front of this whole church, and she's going to swear an oath to God. So that's good enough. And what I've found is that's not the case. Unfortunately, that is not the case, gentlemen. What you'll find is that the power of the state and the legal system and the reality of that outweighs the faith component and the theoretical woman feeling a sense of duty and responsibility to her commitment. And I hate to tell you this, but it's totally understandable. You can't hate these chicks and get a huge chip on your shoulder about it and be like, oh yeah, see, all women this and that. Yeah, man, yeah, okay. So let me tell you, they're all gonna experience this. Not all, but yeah, okay. The way this is gonna play out is the state and all of the supporting cast, like I already said, they carry so much weight in reality that it is not feasible to overcome that without an equal and overpowering force in reality. And so if you don't change the family court system, if you don't change the legal system, if you don't change the enforcement arm of all of this, then there is no change. So don't think you're gonna just get this chick to marry you in a church and then she's gonna feel such an obligation to God and her family and your family and all the friends that came and all the money that was spent and everything. Bro, it doesn't matter. All right? It's good news just as much as it's bad news. I'm not saying this to try to burn chicks to the ground and be like, no, I'm just saying the reality of it is it doesn't matter. They're not going to be able, in their own mind and their own programming, they are not going to be able to overcome the reality of the legal system and all this stuff with just a unenforceable arrangement that is dissolvable as soon as they are having an emotional moment. So if you want to have successful relationships, if you want to have a successful marriage, you have to change the way that this is set up. You have to, in the big picture, if you want to have successful marriages, obviously there's going to be individuals that are going to be able to have successful marriages. The whole institution of marriage isn't just completely blown out of the water for everyone. 100% of people aren't completely screwed. It's very quickly becoming an activity for the rich. It's very quickly becoming a worse and worse scenario for average men in most places. So there's no reason to do it. There's no reason to do it. You're not a Christian if you don't marry a chick. Okay, bro? Sorry to break it to you. All you church guys that want to shit on everybody, it doesn't make you not a Christian for you to not marry a chick. So, back to the drawing board with your garbage arguments. We won't have any of that nonsense play out over here, my dudes. Do better. Don't just take a chick into a church and get married and think that now you're in a traditional marriage. You're not in a traditional marriage because we don't have a traditional environment here for you to have a marriage within. All right? The smartest thing I've heard anyone float on the internet recently was the guy who actually looked into the legal way to try to set yourself up as a man to have custody of your children when your wife leaves you. And that was to have a legal agreement with her that she's going to give up her claim to the children. And that's a start, dude. That's a start. So if you can get a woman that will, obviously you don't just try to bomb her out of the water and but if you can get a woman that's going to be able to handle that conversation, things are looking a little more reasonable than unreasonable. Because it's very important that she's not rewarded with your children when she leaves you, man. You need to raise your children. Okay? That's the most important thing. When you get into a marriage now, you have to assume you're getting divorced. It's cool if you do it anyway. Okay? You have to assume you're getting divorced, and you have to fucking set it up so that you can keep the children. So that's where you want to start. And what you're going to find is that you take a girl into a church and you do this marriage and you don't involve the state. You actually do involve the state because you are going to then need some type of negotiations and officiating to be taking place later on in the future when you're separating. And all of that is going to be officiated by the state and recorded with the state. And your finances are accessible to the state. And your possession of your own body is accessible to the state. And you are gambling in an irresponsible and unintelligent way if you don't think this stuff through. So, although it sounds great to get married but not involve the state, that's not how it works, man. That's not how it works. It's too late. It's too late to run from the state. What are you talking about? Fucking fantasy land. Work within the system, dude. You want to change the system? Work within the system to change the system. I support you. Fantasyland is a no-go, bro. Be careful.